Musical musings, musical musings, musical musings, musical musings.
Hello and good afternoon. Welcome back to the latest episode of Musical Musings, airing every Wednesday at 1 p.m. We broadcast this program to you from Rajamakan University of Technology, Peranakan, and I will be bringing it to you in two parts. For our first part, I will introduce to you an artist and a song. We'll discuss a little bit about the artist, then discuss a little bit about the song, like its main themes, what the song is all about. Okay? Then we will go ahead and listen to the song. And after that, we will get to the second part of the program where we will analyze the lyrics. We will look especially at any vocabulary, slang words, idioms that might be a little difficult to understand. So that's what we'll focus on when we go through those lyrics. Then we will get to the news and the latest updates from the university, as always.
Musical musings, musical musings, musical musings, musical musings.
Welcome, everyone. My name is Gary Gray, and I am your host for this Musical Musings program. I am an English teacher here at Rajamakan University of Technology, Peranakan. I have been here for 7 years. I've been saying that for about a year now on this program because now we're getting close to 8 years. So I have been here for, getting close to a decade. So I've been here teaching at this university for almost 8 years now. And I do like to incorporate music into my classroom whenever I can. And so, naturally, I am bringing you a musical program. So, as I mentioned in our introduction, every week we go over one song, we go through the lyrics, and we try to understand what the song is about. So this week, is going to be a little bit, it's going to be a little bit weird. It's weird because some of the things that they say, the words they say in the song, are just almost random. For example, the very first line, "Boogie with a suitcase." What does that even mean? What does that line even mean? We'll go over it when we get to the second half of the program and we talk about the lyrics. I have some idea what they're trying to say there, but it is almost just random. Boogie with a suitcase. A boogie is a kind of a dance. You're going to dance with a suitcase? Okay, like I said, there's some other stuff in here, but they also just take these cute lines from different cultural references. Like there's a line in there where it says, "Fee, fi, fo, fum." Those are not words. What does that mean? That actually comes from a nursery rhyme. It was actually made into a movie. I believe it was a cartoon movie. So some of you actually may be familiar with the movie. It was Jack and the Beanstalk. The giant says, "Fee, fi, fo, fum." The giant who lives in the sky at the top of the beanstalk. That's his famous saying. That's where they got this from for this song. Now, that movie is fairly recent, but the story it's based on is very old. So this song is also quite old. This song came out, I believe, right around 1980. It might be just slightly after that. I forgot to record all the details in my notes here. I don't have that written down. I should know when it came out. That's the song we're doing. But I do forget exactly when it came out. But it was one of the band's first hits. And the band we're doing is M. That's it. One letter, M. And their song that we're doing is Pop Muzik. Pop Muzik. Okay, so the band M, it certainly isn't just one person because there were other people, other instrumentalists with the main singer. In fact, even in this song, you'll hear some backup singers as well, some females. But basically, it's one guy. That's the band. Again, mostly. There are other performers with him, instrumentalists, backup singers, all of that. But the band M is essentially a gentleman by the name of Robin Scott. He was born in 1947 in England, so he is 77 now, still alive. I honestly don't know how much he's still performing. Officially, I do know that they are still together. But again, still together. I mean, what's the band? Like I said, it's basically just him and some of the instrumentalists or backup singers have changed over the years. So, I mean, so we say they're still together. Well, who's together? It's really just him. So, basically, he still performs. So Robin Scott is still out there performing. But again, I don't really know how much. This was really their only big hit. So it's not like he has a big catalog of other great music to go out there and perform. Usually on our program, we do artists who have a lot of good songs. Like at the end of the program, I'll tell you, oh, go listen to this song or that song from this artist. Over the next few weeks, I'm going to try to change that up a little bit. I'm going to try to introduce you to some artists who are what we call one-hit wonders. Now, that's not a very nice thing to call them. It's almost as if they couldn't get another hit. They couldn't get a hit is like a big song. So I don't really like that term because it's supposed to be positive and it doesn't sound positive. But the reason it's supposed to be positive is because they did at least have one hit. There's a lot of bands out in this world. You can get one big hit. Well, you're doing better than almost everyone else. So I don't really like the term one-hit wonder, but that's generally what it's called by most people. Bands that have had only one big song. Some of these bands have had two big songs, or maybe even three, but they're still sometimes called one-hit wonders. Now, in this case, I would say that this probably is their only really big hit. So again, Robin Scott. Born in 1947, 77 years old, still performing. But again, I don't really know how much because this is his only big song. And their band formed, and again, like I said, we talk about it as a band. It's really just him. But of course, he did have to get instrumentalists. There were other people that joined him, backup singers, etc. So there's a band. The band formed in 1978. And as I told you, as we now move on from the band to the song Pop Muzik came out pretty early in their career. As I told you before, I forgot to write in my notes here, which I have in front of me, exactly what year that came out in. But your host here is old enough so that I remember this song. Yeah, this is one of their first songs. I told you before, I think it came out around 1980. But if I'm missing the year at all, it's probably actually earlier than that. So 1979, 1978. And they formed in 1978. So this is one of their very first songs that they came out with. And we've talked about this on this program many times before, about how interesting it is that so many of these artists, their biggest songs came very early in their career. which kind of surprised me when I first noticed that. But as I came to think about it more and more, it kind of made sense. A band becomes popular. The studio, the producers, all those people push them to get more and more and more and more and more songs. So you kind of lose some of the creativity as the time goes on and on and on because they're forced to make a lot of songs. So what happens is their very first songs are some of their most creative, their most fun songs. They become their most popular songs. And that's what we see here with pop music. It hit actually number 3 in the U.S. It actually hit number 1 in a lot of countries. So again, really popular. Number 3 is quite high. That's hard to do. And we've talked before on this program about how good the music was in the 1970s and 80s. Now there are a few people, because they're used to a more modern sound, hate the music from the 1970s and 80s. Disco was really popular in the 1970s. This has a bit of a disco feel to it. A lot of people hate disco. So not everyone's going to tell you that the music was great in the 1970s and 80s. But most people who really listen to a lot of music will tell you that those were a couple of the best years, some of the best decades for music. Also the 1960s. So we had a lot of music from like the Beatles and Elvis, Rolling Stones, people like that. Stones lasted well into the 70s. They're still around now, although they're quite old, so they don't perform much. But the 60s through the 80s, kind of that period there, was maybe one of the best periods for music. So these guys, with their song, they're right in the middle of that. So my point is that there's a lot of competition. You get to number 3, that's pretty big. So they had the 3rd most popular song. Okay, so now what's the song about? Pop music. Well, that's what it's about. Pop music. And so you might wonder, okay, well, why are they writing a song about this? Okay, so the term pop music came out around the same time this song did. And it's a certain style, a certain genre of music, which is a little bit weird, I have to say. The name, why it became called pop music, the name just in and of itself is a little bit weird. And the reason I say it's a little bit weird is pop is just short for popular. So when you hear someone say pop music, it means popular music. Well, any music can be popular. Heavy metal is popular. It's not as popular as the style of music they're talking about here, but it's popular. That's not what we mean when we say pop music. So pop music is going to be someone that sings with a style, a genre. That might be someone like Taylor Swift or Beyonce. Or if you go back just a little bit, you go back to Whitney Houston, or you go back a little further, someone like Michael Jackson. That is pop music. And what's interesting is, because of sort of the disco style of this song, I'm not really sure this is even pop music, which is kind of funny because that's the name of the song. So, and in fact, I told you about the first line. The second line says you're living in a disco. So we're talking now a disco. When they talk about a disco, it doesn't necessarily mean that style of music. That's actually a place. But the reason that place got that name is because that is usually the style of music they play. So they play disco music. Disco music and pop music, that's not really the same thing. In some ways, if you think about the genres and kind of what the music style is like, in some ways they're not that different. but I would not say that disco music is pop music. So that makes this song a little bit interesting and kind of a little bit weird because it's a song about pop music, but it is not pop music. It's more disco, which is not, like I said, what I would consider to be pop music. Okay, so that's what the song's about. And the reason they came out with this song at this time is because that's when that term started to be used. Like I said, it's kind of a weird term because it just means popular music. There's always been popular music. There's been music that was popular in the 1940s, 1930s, even before any of these bands that we talk about on this program. Okay. We just, for some reason, never used the term pop. Shorten that word popular to pop. Here, we do. We do. We call it pop music, and this is a term that came out late 70s, early 80s, and it refers to kind of your most popular style bands. So it's going to be people, like I mentioned before, like Michael Jackson, Whitney Houston, Beyonce, Taylor Swift, I don't know. There's so many more, I don't know. And in fact, they have, for a lot of my Thai listeners, I know Korean music is quite popular here. And so what do they call that? K-pop. It's Korean pop music. Again, these really big, popular bands. That's what we're talking about. That's the style of music we're talking about. Now, obviously, K-pop sounds a little different from some of these other people, artists, groups I've mentioned. But there is a similarity there. There's a similarity there where there's not a lot of, it's not like rock and roll. I mean, the general style is a version of rock and roll, but, there's not a lot of electric guitar, a lot of drums, a lot of bass. It's focused really on the singing, and the songs usually aren't too serious. They're just about kind of relationships and things like that. They're not, I guess that can be serious, but I mean, they're not trying to make a statement like a lot of songs from the 1960s and 1970s. We're talking about the Vietnam War and talking about civil rights and trying to make a statement about something. No. Pop music is simple songs, simple music. Easy topics. Focused on the artist, the singer. Not a whole lot of instrumental in the background. Certainly not a lot of loud instrumental like you might be used to with rock. Like a lot of the guitars and the drums and things like that. So, and I mention that because you do see that similarity with something like K-pop. So if you're familiar with K-pop, yeah, that's pop music. Yes, same thing. All right, so that's what we're talking about here. That's what the song is about. And the reason they came out with this song is because this was when pop music was becoming popular. So they wrote this song about something that was just becoming popular. Before this time, there was other popular music, but it wasn't the same style of music. In fact, it was more like this. This came out in the late 70s. Disco was popular, but disco was starting to fade around this time. And other things were taking over. Excuse me. Heavy metal was getting more popular. Kind of a harder rock sound was getting more popular. And so was pop music. Okay, so let's get to the song. As always, for those of you joining us on YouTube, we cannot embed the video here, so we'll give you a link in the upper right corner. Please click on that. It will take you to the video. Once that video is done, you can jump back here for the second half of our program. And for anyone else listening, if you're listening on streaming or the radio, you should be able to listen just fine. So let's get to the song.
Musical musings, musical musings, musical musings, musical musings.
Welcome back, everyone. Okay, so that is just a song about music. Simple as that. Okay, so let's get to the lyrics of this song. As I told you in the first part, they're a little bit weird. And they repeat a lot as well. So it seems like there's a lot of lyrics. There kind of aren't. I have all the lyrics printed out in front of me for my notes to make sure I don't miss anything. I've got 5 pages here. There's not that much. There's not that much. It's a very simple song. There are a lot of words we have to figure out what they mean. Okay? But mostly, it's a pretty simple song. It's talking about the rise in popularity of pop music. All right, so we start out and they do this little background thing. Pop music. Okay. And then we start out with the first verse. It's a radio video. Boogie, which I told you Boogie with a Suitcase was the first line. It's actually the second line. So it's radio video. Boogie with a Suitcase. You're living in a disco. Forget about the rat race. Oy. What in the world does all of that mean? All right, so we start out radio video. Remember when this came out? This was the start of when music videos were coming out. In fact, there was a music video for this song. It's one of the first music videos to come out. It's one of the reasons the song got so popular. Oh, look, we have a music video. Yay. We talked about this, I think it was just last week. Might have been the week before when we talked about the song by the Dire Straits, where it starts talking about MTV. That's music television video. I know it's just music television. The TV is just television. But it was about videos. MTV is just music television. I don't know why it took me a minute to think about that. Very famous in America, where I'm from. I should know that. So MTV is music television. We talked about that last week. That video was just coming out. These music videos were just coming out around this time. Right around 1980. A little bit before. Some were coming out, 78, 79. But right around then. Okay, so Boogie with a Suitcase. Again, I mentioned that line earlier. What does that mean? Why would you be dancing with a suitcase? And honestly, like I told you before, some of the lyrics in this song are just random. I don't know why you'd be boogieing with a suitcase. But the next line does give us a clue. It says you're living in a disco. So, in other words, this person, the person you're talking about, the person you're singing about here in this song, a disco is a dance club, mostly from the 1970s. The name stuck around into the 80s, but that's basically from the 70s. And it is named after that style of music. But it's a place. It's a dance club. So if you're living there, basically, now, obviously no one's living there, but what they mean is you're spending a lot of time there. So they're kind of just saying that, oh, well, you spend so much time there, you need to bring a suitcase with your change of clothes and stuff like that. Obviously no one does that. But that's the point they're making, is that this person's really into music. Okay, so they're always at the disco. Okay, forget about the rat race. Here's a good English term for you. The rat race is everyone working hard at their jobs to try to move up. And this term is not used positively. That may sound positive, right? You're trying to move up, you get a better position, you make more money, whatever. Yeah, but everyone's fighting against each other to do that. That's the problem. So it's like a race. That's why they call it the rat race. So that's not a good thing. So it's good to forget about the rat race. Okay, then the next line says, let's do the milkshake. Milkshake? That's something you drink. What are they talking about here? Okay. A milkshake was the name of a dance. So when he says, let's do the milkshake, he's talking about doing a dance. Okay, so that's just doing a dance. Selling like a hotcake. Okay, here's another good English idiom. When something is selling like a hotcake, it means it's very popular. A hotcake is like a pancake. We usually use this term, selling like a hotcake, for something that you are actually selling. Now, they don't use it that way here because they're saying that the dance, the milkshake, is popular. So we're not using that term the same way here. But usually, when we say something is selling like a hotcake, we mean it's actually selling. It's very popular to be sold. Okay, then it says, try some, buy some. But again, we're not talking about something you buy. He just means, again, you have to be really loose with this song. The lyrics are a little bit crazy. He just means do it. Do it. Try. When he says try some, buy some, he means do the dance. Do the milkshake. That's all he's saying. Get into the music. Enjoy it. Then we get that fee-fi-fo-fum that I mentioned. Fee-fi-fo-fum. And then he says, talk about pop music. Okay, now we get to what's called a pre-chorus. It's really just part of the chorus because it blends in, but it is a little bit of a separate section, so we call it a pre-chorus. And he says, shooby-dooby-doo-wop. What in the world does that mean? Shooby-dooby-doo-wop. All right, so that's like, again, it's kind of a musical term, like doo-wop is a style of music. So it's an older style of music. And I think that's really interesting that this song does that. It talks about disco, and now it's talking about doo-wop, but the song itself is about pop music, which is the new trend. So it's kind of interesting that they do that with shooby-dooby-doo-wop. Shooby-dooby-doo-wop. And then he says, I want to dedicate it. Pop, pop, shoo-wop. Everybody made it. Infiltrate it. Activate it. Oy, what does that all mean? Okay, so I will be perfectly honest with you. I'm not even exactly sure what he's trying to say here. That's some weird lyrics. I want to dedicate it. Everybody made it. Infiltrate it. Activate it. What I believe he's pointing out here is, again, the popularity of pop music. In fact, you're going to see it in the chorus. The very next lines that come up, you're going to see that. So everybody made it. So he wants to dedicate, probably this song he's talking about, he wants to dedicate this song to pop music. Everybody made it. In other words, it's really popular. And the fans are just as important as the artists because the fans have to buy the albums, listen to the music. So that's why everybody makes it. You, just by listening to music, help that become popular. So everybody makes it. Infiltrate it. To infiltrate something means to kind of get into something. We usually mean that secretly. But I think what he means here is just really to get into it. Enjoy it. Enjoy it. We're moving forward to pop music. So get into the pop music. Because then he says, activate it. To activate something means to turn it on. To activate your computer would be when you push the power button and you turn it on. Activate your microwave is when you turn it on. So he's saying listen to the music. Listen to the pop music. So it's really interesting how they combine these different themes here. They talk about doo-wop. They talk about disco. But they're talking about how popular pop music is. And in fact, like I said, we see it right here coming up in the chorus. New York, London, Paris, Munich, everybody talk about pop music. And honestly, that's pretty much the entire chorus. It just says talk about pop music, pop, 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 pop music, pop, pop. It just repeats that. So really that's the chorus, is that everybody's talking about pop music in New York, in London, in Paris, in Munich. So again, it's the popularity of the music. Okay, so I told you we repeat a lot here. This is only the first page. I have 4 more pages or 3 more. We had our introduction here as well. But I've got 3 more pages of lyrics. But it's almost all just repeating. There's a little bit of extra stuff they have in here. But we really just have 2 more verses here. So our second verse, sing it in the subway. Okay, that's easy enough. He's just, again, telling you to sing it, enjoy it. He's really trying to promote pop music here, even though this song itself is more disco style, which, again, is what makes it so interesting. Shuffle with a shoe shine. Okay. Not sure what he means by that. But a shoe shine is at a lot of these train stations, especially if you think of a place like New York City. They have people there that will shine your shoes for you. So we says sing it in the subway, so we're at this subway station. So shuffle with a shoe shine. So we're talking about shuffle. That's when you move your feet slowly. So he's probably, again, talking about dancing there. Again, not clear. Not all the lyrics in this song are really clear what he means. Okay, mix me a Molotov. I'm on the headline. So mix him a Molotov, I believe that's the name of a drink. So again, we're probably thinking of this as being at a dance club. Remember what we had with the first verse with you're living in a disco? So we're at a nightclub where you can get drinks. So mix me a Molotov, that's a drink. I'm on the headline. Okay, so he's saying that he's actually the performer. He's the singer. Okay, wanna be a gunslinger, don't be a rock singer. Eeny, meeny, miny, moe. That's another funny line. Which way you want to go? Okay, so what does he mean here? Want to be a gunslinger? Don't be a rock singer. Okay, so once again, I have to say that I'm not even sure what he means by one of these lines. With don't be a gunslinger, I'm not sure if there's some cultural reference there that even I don't understand, having to do with music. A gunslinger is someone that can shoot well, shoot a gun really fast. Not sure what that has to do with pop music. But the next line is, don't be a rock singer. Again, pop and rock. Technically, pop music is a style of rock, but we don't usually think of it that way. So once again, the singer is promoting pop music. He's saying, don't be a rock singer. Then eeny, meeny, miny, moe, that's just another thing that comes from like it's not really a nursery rhyme, but something like that. Which way you want to go. So he's saying that there's which way you want to go. There's still a choice. Because again, we're right at the beginning of pop music. And rock music is getting popular as well because we're going out of the disco era. So he's saying, don't be a rock singer. And then which way you want to go? You're going to do that? You're going to be a rock singer or you're going to do pop music? And of course, he's promoting pop music. Okay, so then we get to the pre-chorus and the chorus again. And they do have a couple of extra lines in there that they add, but basically it's all the same. Then we get to a section called the bridge, but there's, again, not a whole lot there. There are a few extra lines. It says all around the world. So, again, we're talking about everyone doing it. Wherever you are, everyone's doing it. Dance in the street, anything you like. Do it in your car in the middle of the night. So, in other words, once again, promoting pop music. He's telling everyone to get into pop music. All right, so then we get to the third verse. Dance in the supermart. Okay, supermart, what's that? It's a supermarket. Here in Thailand, that would be like Tops, Foodland, Lotus. Dance in the supermart. Dig it in the fast lane. Okay, so the fast lane, that means the when you're driving on a highway, the right lane is going to be where people drive fast to pass people. In America, where we drive on the other side of the road, it's on the left lane. But here in Thailand, the right lane where you're driving fast. Again, pretty random lyrics. He's just saying, do it wherever you are. Okay, listen to the countdown. Remember we said this hit number 3? That's what he's talking about. We had a program in America where they would go through the top songs, the top 50 songs, and they'd play all that. They'd do it each week. They'd play the whole 50 songs. And the whole point is, again, it's becoming popular. So he's saying, listen to it, because all these pop music songs are going to be on the countdown. So listen to the countdown. They're playing our song again. Pop music. I can't get Jumpin' Jack. I want to hold Get Back. Okay, so those are two songs. What is that? Again, what does that mean? I can't get Jumping Jack. I want to hold Get Back. So he's saying he can't hear Jumping Jack. I think he's talking about Jumpin' Jack Flash, which is a song. And he says, I want to hold Get Back, which is a Beatles song. He wants to hold it, means don't play it. So what we're talking about is those are older songs. Jumpin' Jack Flash is a song from the Rolling Stones, I think from the 1970s. Get Back is a Beatles song, I think from the 1960s. So what he's saying is that's all old stuff. It's time for some pop music. Okay, so we continue on with the lyrics, and we're just about done. It says, Moonlight, Muzik, Knick-Knack, Paddywhack. Okay. Knick-Knack, Paddywhack. It's another line from like a nursery rhyme. I told you these lyrics are crazy. That's just a line from a nursery rhyme. That means nothing. Okay, so Moonlight, Muzik. I think what he's talking about there with Muzik, we have a term for the type of music you usually hear in an elevator. It's pretty soft. That's pretty much pop music. That's what they play. So it's Muzik. Most people actually don't like that anymore. But back then, it was kind of popular. So even though people still like pop music, the Muzik style of it, people mostly don't like anymore. But back then, it was kind of a new thing, playing music in an elevator or something like that. So people liked it. And it was close to pop music. So that's what he's talking about here. Knick-Knack, Paddywhack, and then talk about pop music. Talk about pop music. And that's it. We then get to the pre-chorus again and the chorus. And again, there are a couple of new lines when we do the pre-chorus. It says it's all around you. They want to surround you. Okay, so yeah, it's everywhere. So a couple more lines in here. All right, so that is basically the song, and you get the idea. You get the idea that this is about pop music. It's a song about music. It's kind of a fun song. Okay, so that's it. That is pop music by the band M. And usually as we close out a program, I like to tell you all about other songs by a band. I told you in our intro, we're kind of going to do some one-hit wonders here for the next couple of weeks. I got nothing else for you from this band. I mean, they do have other songs, of course. You can go out, look them up, check out some of their other music. Feel free. Please do that. I encourage you to do that. But you're not going to find a whole lot of really popular songs by M or by Robin Scott. This is the song. Okay? So this week and for the next few weeks, I'm probably not going to give you a whole lot of advice on things to listen to from a certain band. We're just going to do the song we're doing, and that's going to be it. I thought it would be fun to do some of these one-hit wonders because some of these are great songs. This is a really fun song. The song we're going to do next week is extremely popular, even though it's the guy's only popular song. It's extremely popular. So we got another good one coming up next week. So I wanted to make sure in our program we include some of those bands. So for M, I don't have a lot of other music for you. Okay? Thank you for joining us for today's Musical Musings program. Please stay with us and make sure you tune back in next week for another great song. Also, please don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Thank you.
Musical